Thank you so much. All right, the time is now 7 o'clock p.m. Reconvening this meeting. Welcome, everyone. We're going to begin with the presentation of colors, with cadets Tyler Dotson, Sagan Wallace, Alexander, I apologize if I mispronounced your last name, Moschuris, and Vadim O'Brien. And the GRTC program is under the command of Major Robert Ford, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Member Barraza, with a moment of silence afterward. If we can please stand.
I pledge allegiance I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Thank you. Thank you. Everyone might be seated. All right, now we will have the land acknowledgement by Mr. McDonald.
Tempe Union High School District acknowledges that our community of schools is located on the ancestral lands of the Akmal, Otum, Pima, and Pipash Maricopa indigenous people who have inhabited these lands since time immemorial. With this land acknowledgement, the district formally recognizes that the traditional care and keeping of these lands by indigenous peoples allow us to be here today.
Thank you so much, Mr. McDonald, and thank you so much to the JRTC cadets and Major 4. Now we'll go straight into report from Superintendent, Dr. Mendeva.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board, executive team members, our viewing and listening audience, and most especially the wonderful people present in our boardroom this evening. So I appreciate all of you in attendance. Excited about some of these new faces. Some of them are not so new faces, just in new positions. But I'm going to ask that Adam Johnson come to the podium, sitting over there sheepishly. Adam Johnson and we're excited to have Adam, and he's previously from McClintock, but now you're Buffalo. And Adam is the new assistant principal for academics at Tempe High School. Adam started his career with Tempe Union at Marcus Deniza as a science teacher, did extremely well with that, I understand. After 6 years in the classroom, he moved into administration at McClintock as assistant principal for activities, a position he held for 4 years before taking on this new position. Before coming to Tempe Union, Adam was a teacher, department leader at the San Tan Foothills High School in the Coolidge Unified School District. And before that, he worked in the dental industry. I didn't know that. Yeah, get some pointers there. Adam and his wife, Amanda, thank you for being here, a longtime Tempe Union English teacher, have 3 children. 2 of their children are Tempe Union graduates, one from Marcos and one from Corona. Their youngest child is a sophomore attending high school near their home. In his spare time, Adam enjoys playing guitar, bird watching, and spending time with his family, among many, many other things, I am told. Adam is a strong addition to the administrative team who will use his knowledge and experience to positively impact students at Tempe High School, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have him in this new position. I want to just comment separately because it's unique when we get one of our leaders who's had these various roles in activities, in academics, and you're building your skill set, and through those experiences, I think someday you're going to be a fine leader as a principal in one of our schools at some point. So.
So I got to say something right now?
Yes, you do.
All right, I've prepared a speech for this very moment. I'm just kidding. I'm really happy to be in this new role. Very excited about learning new things. Also very thankful for the trust that has been put into me through the executive team, through the board, through Tempe High School. I'm really looking forward to making that school as great as it can be, and being part of the administrative team there. Really grateful for Mr. Gulliford, who has to work tonight, but the mentorship there, and so yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And next, I'd like to invite Eric Litz from McClintock High School, because Adam created a vacancy there, and he took it. Lutz. What did I say, Lutz?
Lutz, yeah.
It's Lutz.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It
That's
has
fine.
to be pronounced correctly. We welcome Eric home to Tempe Union as assistant principal for activities at McClintock. His ties to McClintock started with his father, a member of the 1973 graduating class. Eric is a McClintock graduate as well, so he's really coming full circle and coming home. He's also a proud member of the school's 2007 state championship baseball team.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Eric is a graduate of ASU and received his master's in education degree from Capella University. He and his wife, Stacy, are parents to two future Chargers, 3-year-old Nash and 2-year-old Sophie. Are they here?
They couldn't make it. My daughter's feeling a little sick,
Okay.
but my mom, Joanna's here, and she's
Okay.
a longtime Tempe L teacher, so.
Oh, yay! Eric began his teaching career at Maricopa High School, then spent several years in Mesa schools. At Skyline High School, he taught, coached, and sponsored several clubs, including Be a Leader, the Anti-Defamation League, and the No Place for Hate Committee. Eric then moved into administration as a team leader at Mesa's East Valley Academy, a school that serves a small student population needing help overcoming challenges to attain academic success. Before joining McClintock's administrative team, Eric was the assistant principal for discipline and attendance at Apollo High School. Eric believes the McClintock community is built on an unrivaled tradition of excellence and meaningful relationships, which enable everyone who's part of the community to thrive. The relationships he is building with today's students will have a lasting impact on their lives. We are pleased he is part of our Tempe Union family. I'm glad you returned home. Thank you,
Feels
Eric.
good to be home.
Absolutely. Now it's your turn.
Well, I mean, you kind of stole some of my thunder, Dr. Mendeville, but I just, a proud alum of McClintock High School. I'm just so thrilled to be back in this district, and now from a different perspective. And I have a great leadership team with Ms. Arroyo and everyone on our team. I feel so thankful. Mr. Johnson's been excellent in kind of mentoring me as well and filling his big shoes, and literally and figuratively, Adam. But I'm just so excited to be at McClintock. I think it's the greatest school on earth, and I'm just so happy to be here, and I can't wait to work with all of our students. It's been a blessing so far to work with all of them and building their rich experiences at McClintock, and I hope they have just as good an experience as I had, if not even better. So,
Awesome.
once a Charger, always a Charger.
Always a Charger.
Yeah.
Always a Charger.
Always.
Mrs. Arroyo, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think it's very apparent that Eric is very honest about McClintock being an amazing place and an amazing school. I've seen him in action when he's talking to students, and if they're upset about something, he'll just honestly say, "What are you talking about? This is the best school on earth. Like, what's wrong with you?" So he means what he says.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Mom, for giving him to us. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Kim Sod, can you come forward? Now, Kim is returning home to Tempe Union this year after serving in Phoenix Union and Queen Creek Unified School Districts. Most recently, Kim was a member of the English Language Development Department, and also served as the Avid Site Coordinator at Carl Hayden Community High School. Prior to that, she was an assistant principal at Eastmark High School and Queen Creek High School. Kim said she is thrilled to now serve the Aztec community as assistant principal of academics at Corona del Sol. Those are big jobs, those academic jobs. Her 21st year at Tempe Union, Kim has taught Spanish at McClintock and Tempe High. She was a World Languages Department Chair and Assistant Principal of Activities at McClintock. She serves as the assistant and served as the Assistant Principal of Academics at Compadre. Kim earned a bachelor's degree in Oriental Studies, I didn't know that, China area, with a Spanish minor from the University of Arizona, a master's degree in teaching English as a second language from the U of A, and a master's degree in educational administration from Arizona State University. Well equipped. She has an experience serving learners ranging from middle school to college levels, and she's taught both domestically and abroad, 5 years teaching English in Saudi Arabia. Kim and her husband Roger have 3 adult children who are all proud Tempe Union graduates. She and Roger enjoy the great outdoors, traveling, and spending time with family and their dogs. Kim truly is a caring and dedicated educator. We are so fortunate to have you come back home to Tempe Union. So it's your turn now.
Oh, my goodness. After that, well, thank you so much, President Garcia, members of the Governing Board, Dr. Mendeville, executive team. Thank you to everybody. The welcome home has just been warm, and I couldn't ask for anything more. I am very proud to see 2 of my former students in this room right now, and I'm going to quiz them, give them a Spanish quiz before the end of the night. So that coming full circle just fills my heart, and that is Eric Lutz and President Garcia, as a matter of fact. So I love that. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm thrilled to be back. Just appreciate, and I've had a wonderful beginning at Corona. Mr. Cleve has been amazing, so supportive, as well as Mr. Threadgill, I have to say, has been a big supporter, and he has helped me through a lot, so getting me oriented. It's wonderful to work with Mr. Fleming again, and to Ms. Brandow as well. She and I knew each other from some Cognia reviews a few years ago. So great team, great administrators, great teachers. I'm so blessed to work with all of them, and I'm really looking forward to making this a wonderful year for the students. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Kim. Thank you very much. Mr. Cleve, say something, Nate?
I just want to congratulate Kim for choosing Corona and helping our team. She is such a wonderful person. I think her greatest strength is she's such a good listener, and she really values and appreciates the relationships of all our community stakeholders, whether it's a student, parent, or community member, and she wants their voices heard, and she's very patient and is always willing to go the extra mile to make the students successful. So we're lucky to have her, and she's going to do great things in her return.
Thank you.
All of that echoed 100 times over. I love that you were back home. You were such a critical part of my life and my experience, so thank you so much for everything that you have done and continue to do, and I'm excited all the lives that you're going to get to touch being back home, so thank you.
Awesome. That's cool. Yay. Next, I'm going to ask Mr. Fleming, Brian Fleming, to come forward. Corona Interim Assistant Principal for Athletics, Brian Fleming. You've kind of bounced around a couple of really cool places, but I'm happy. All have been deliberate and purposeful, and you've done a great job. Brian has been with Tempe Union for 28 years. Wow. For 19 years, he was a teacher and coach before he became an administrator, first as the activities principal at Marcos, and then at its assistant principal for athletics. Brian is a Corona graduate, and his 3 children are also graduates of Tempe schools. Brian is the proud recipient of the Music Educator's Assistant Principal of the Year Award. I think many people know that, an honor he received in the 2019-2020 school year while at Marcos, and much deserved. Having taught in every school district, or every district school except for Desert Vista, Brian has firsthand knowledge of the climate and culture at Tempe, McClintock, Marcos, Corona, and Mountain Point. We are fortunate to have an administrator with this unique perspective. We know that at Corona, Brian will continue to do a remarkable job for our students and their families. So Brian, couldn't be more thrilled. I know wherever you land at any one of our schools, you're assisting students and the teams that you serve with, and always do a remarkable job. So thank you. Now it's your turn.
Well, thank you. That's very nice for you to say that. I think the biggest piece of being here is just the partnership and the relationships that you build with the people that are here in this room. Dr. Mendeville was one of my former teachers. Adam Johnson I was his mentor. He did his internship with me for leadership. Eric was one of my students. Kim and I worked together at McClintock for a number of years. So I think the relationships that we build and the things that we do together and we keep it here in Tempe Union is what's most important. And I'm just lucky and blessed to have the opportunity to be able to continue in this position as the athletic director at Corona. It's a challenge that I wanted to take on. I had the opportunity to do that at Marcos. And so now the ability to come back and be able to do that again at Corona and try and take them to the next step, another level, it's just something that was very, very intriguing and interesting for me. Very blessed and very happy that I've been a part of this district actually for 39 years as a student. All the way back to 1983. I took 1 year hiatus, and then I started coaching with Sam Duane in 1989. And it's just been a great partnership for me in my life, and I'm very blessed and thankful that Nate took the opportunity to take me on a couple years ago. He's a wonderful man to work with. He's one of the most incredible people that you could be around. So I'm very blessed and fortunate that I get to work with him. And all of you in this room, every one of you that I see, I've worked with and been around for such long. You're all great people, and that's the reason why I think we need to continue to keep people to stay with us, because you are just wonderful people. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that concludes my superintendent's report.
Mendeville, did you want to say something about Brian?
Oh, I'm sorry. There you are, Mr. Cleve, again. Yes, thank you, Burdetta.
Brian has a unique skill set, and I think everything he does turns to gold. You saw that in his work in activities over at Marcos. He's going to do the same thing with athletics at Corona. Brian is student-centered and really focuses on strong relationships with students, not just athletes. All students on our campus. He's very positive, and that's just contagious, not only with students but our staff. He's a Hall of Fame coach, but more importantly, he's just a really good person, and we're lucky to have him. And I would call him almost Mr. Tempe Union, because everywhere he goes, he knows everybody. So it's a nice icebreaker and introduction, and having those positive relationships just is a really good reflection of Corona and our district. So he's done a great job for our school and community.
Absolutely, thank you, and I apologize for that. For the record, he was my student in a graduate class for NAU, okay? For the record, okay? And he was a very good student, too. Yes. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Mendeville. All right, next we have public comment. I believe we have some. Okay, so we do not have any public comment generally, but we do have some for agendized items later, and so we will, because they are specific to a specific agenda item, we'll read those at that time. Then we'll go straight into consent agenda. All right, I know Member Braza has a question, so if we can go through the motion in the second, and then we'll we can have that comment for our time for questions. So I move approval of F1 through, we have quite a bit, F33. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Braza.
Thank you, President Garcia. More or less, I was just kind of curious if, Sean, if you can kind of give us a background just to item 19 and item 21. Item 19 is the Corona del Sol roof replacement with the cost of $10 million. And so if you could just kind of give us context, so that way we understand, anything with that type of price tag, I think it's important to be able to provide clarity on that cost. And then 21, I'm just more or less curious on how, what process do we go to identify this need with the canopy? And if you can explain it a little bit, that's all.
That's it. We'll be here for a little bit. No, I'll make it short and sweet. Thank you very much, Mr. Barraza, for the question. Actually, number 19 through 25, if you notice, all our building renewals through the Division of School Facilities. So we're very blessed to have them and work with such a great partner. Specifically, item number 19, that is the entire Corona del Sol roof built in 1977. Of course, you can replace roofs. We have different types of roofs, from foam roofs to, different opportunities. But this specific roof, built in 1977, we're going to have to take the whole roof down. That will be about a year process to do, and it costs just over $10 million to do that. Unfortunately, building in 1977, we need to do it right. And so, unfortunately, they used asbestos back then, and that needs to be taken care of in a certain amount and manner, and that's a very expensive job to do when removing asbestos the correct way. Asbestos is not dangerous, but once you move it and disturb it, that's where it becomes, a little bit more expensive, and doing it right and making sure that we're not impacting our community at all. So that's that number 21, and you'll see in 20 and 22, these are all areas of concrete repair. Specific in 21 is Tempe High School, where they placed a canopy a while back, several years ago, in between the buildings. Probably wasn't engineered correctly. So what would happen is the weight of that canopy has interrupted the brick walls, cracking those brick walls. So we have to add an engineering system that's going to allow us to use columns to be able to not only take care of the brick, but also columns to make sure that that canopy stays up correctly.
I appreciate that. It sounds concerning, yeah. So thank you for identifying that, you and your team.
And you
I know
identify
guys do
that.
the systems,
Yeah.
of identifying each campus. And that one's great because, identifying that, who knows at what point, would it start showing more material damage, I would say, so thank you for that. I really appreciate, honestly, the work that we're doing at Tempe Union in that respect. And the other aspect is the funding for it. And that's coming through all the 19 through 25 through a School Facilities Board, or I'm sorry, the name changes, Department of School Facilities.
They go by both at this point. They're trying to transfer over at this point, correct?
So that goes through that, and that's the whole entire process. And so for them to give us so much funding, I mean, the $10 million for number 19 is incredible. That represents a big portion of what would otherwise be our own individual budget. So hats off to the district and everyone working with the Department of School Facilities to be able to fulfill what the obligations are and have that relationship, so that way we can, work and continue to get resources. So
I'd be remiss if I didn't share with the Director of Plant Operations, Mike Thorby, and his team, the preventative maintenance program that they put together in the tickler system, we call it, where they go out, look at these systems in place to make sure, watching for these types of cracks or different things in the buildings, and then being able to take care of and work with our community has been wonderful. And so we're going to continue to see that, and we believe that our plants are our number one asset, so we need to make sure that they're as good as they can be for our kids, our parents, and community. So
I appreciate the focus on preventative maintenance and Mike's work. I know when we sat together with him, it was daunting. It seemed to really have to dive into every issue that schools may, be needing, all the different facility issues. And to be on top of it is really important, so thanks for the preventative maintenance outlook. Please convey that to Mike and everyone that's working with him to be able to do that, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Barraza. Board members, any other thoughts, comments, or questions? I do want to allow the opportunity since we do have 33 consent items. All right, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have G1, curriculum adoption for the 23-24 school year. Dr. Mendenville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board. I'm going to ask that Steve Threadgill come forward. He is the new Director of Instructional Services in the Teaching and Learning Department. We're excited about this opportunity, and we're right in the thick of making it happen with this particular item with the Yaqui course proposal as submitted. I'm going to hand it off to Steve so he can share the work that has been done up to this point, because we have more work to continue.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good evening, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, Superintendent Mendenville, members of the board and executive team. Just want to echo what Dr. Mendenville said. Just excited about this opportunity to be standing in front of you today to propose the addition of a Yaqui language course into our district course catalog. This request came from our governing board as well as members of the Pascua Yaqui tribe. And Teaching and Learning began exploring offering a Yaqui language class to students within our district. The Teaching and Learning department staff met with the Yaqui tribe officials, the Director of Education department, tribal members, members from the Language and Cultural department, both from Guadalupe and Tucson. From our discussion as a group, the Teaching and Learning staff discussed the proposed course with the assistant principals of academics for each one of our campuses to seek their input. And from there, the assistant principals of academics then had a discussion regarding the proposal with their world language department leads, because that's where this course will land. It will land in the world language department. And our goal is to be adding that course into our 23-24 course catalog. So we are proposing tonight to add that to our course catalog to be taught next school year in the fall. The next step after that, after tonight and getting that on our course proposal at this time for next school year, will be then to propose a second year of the Yaqui language for the 24-25 school year. That is a wonderful opportunity. That process will begin in January when we go through that course proposal process for the 24-25 school year. And that's a wonderful opportunity because it's going to give our students the opportunity to complete the 2 consecutive years of a world language requirement moving forward into their higher education. So we're very excited about the opportunity. Excited to be a part of it. I know we have members here tonight. I appreciate you being here tonight. I really do appreciate the work that's been done. Serena Preciado's done a great job. I've been working with her. And just what she has provided to me in terms of a scope and sequence, the course proposal itself, I'm just really thankful. So I'm here just to say thank you to you guys, and obviously governing board proposed this to you in the hopes that we can get that on the books for this next school year.
Thank you so much. Before we go into comments and questions, I do want to recognize Councilwoman Campoy from the tribe who's here and who's been instrumental in our community and has definitely been supportive of everything that we do, as well as the community member Ismael Osuna, who was instrumental in making this a public initiative within the community to make sure our Yaqui students are seen and heard. So with that, we'll go into, we have 3 public comment, and we will begin with Council Member Campoy.
I don't bring this. Dios Enchañevo, Cachimalea. I am Antonia Campoy, Tribal Council member. It is my honor and pleasure to be here tonight. I recognize many of you, and I want to express my gratitude for your time and getting this course in the catalog. It's been some time working together, and we look forward to working together for the success of this class. I am grateful that the community asked for it, and I'm grateful that the board went ahead and made the special meetings that we had with education, language and culture, staff, and everybody else that was involved. Muchas gracias. I want to say I look forward to continue to work. I did teach Yaqui history and culture for South Mountain Community College for 17 years, and I am offering my service for this class to be successful. It's a win-win for students, and it's a win-win for Tempe Union High School. And we are a family. We're in partnership for our community, and it's a lifelong learning that we all have. You know, some of you have been in education for many years. I know I was with Tempe Elementary for 39 years. And I offer my services to this project and look forward to working with anybody, whether it be the teachers and staff. And I am grateful for your time. And I want to say that I am a Charger. I'm proud to say that I am one of the first graduating class of McClintock High School, the Chargers. And I just want to say that I know you mentioned that this is, tribal land. And I know that our chairman, Mr. Peter Yucupicho, have said that where we are right now, many years ago, this used to be a cotton field. And as a young girl, and also him, we came and picked cotton in these fields. And by the end of the day, it was all day work. By the end of the day, the most we got was $3 for the day. So I just want to say that, a little bit of history. I have a lot of oral history that I would like to share to the class, if I may, in the near future in this Yaqui language class. But I know my 3 minutes are almost up. But thank you. Muchas gracias, President Brian Garcia, and all the board members and all the staff here. Thank you for your valued time.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Campoy. Next, we have Annalise Ortega.
Hello, thank you. My name is Annalise Ortega. I am a sophomore at Marcos Ceniza High School, a member of the Pascua Yaqui Youth Council, and I just wanted to say thank you for taking this into consideration, because it is not only helping me, but other Pascua Yaqui students at Marcos Ceniza and other schools reconnect with our culture, because I do know not a lot of people speak their native tongue. I know I'm not very fluent in it, and I want to learn more. And it's more convenient for the students to be able to learn it as a extracurricular curriculum course instead of just after school or doing it as something else, because I know a lot of students are really tired after school, and they also have clubs and other stuff. So it would also help me, because I'm an honor student and I have clubs after school, so it would be beneficial towards me, and I would be able to communicate more with my elders. I want to be able to make my elders proud and reconnect with my culture. I've been doing that with the Pascua Yaqui Youth Council, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity, and this one as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Annalise. Next, we have Ismael Osuna.
Superintendent Mendeville, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, Governing Board and Executive Team, Yosem Chanyavo, Getchemalea, Inepo Ismael Coronado Osuna Tea. Greetings, my name is Ismael Osuna. I'm a parent of a student at Marcos Ceniza High School. I am thrilled to see this governing board and district officials' commitment to continuing building and strengthening the relationship and partnership with the Pascuayaqui tribe and our Guadalupe community. Last year, on September 15, 2021, the district renewed its commitment to tribal nations at the Tribal Nations flag ceremony. I see you all have lived up to your commitment. Education has a significant impact on how our students are raised. Guadalupe students make up 25% of the district's population, and finally, they will have a course they can identify with and be proud of. A Yaqui language class will have a positive impact on our children. It will help instill pride in them. It will boost their confidence, and it will help build their identity. I am thankful the district has paused to listen to its neighbors in Guadalupe. We're moving in the right direction. Let's continue building bridges and working together for the success of our students, our district, and our community. Once this Yaqui language course becomes official tonight, I hope the district will advertise this language course by any means necessary. I leave you with this quote: Tabwi nokta emomastateko. Learning a language is like becoming another person. I want to thank you guys for your commitment and for always, looking out for the best interests of our community. I see that you guys are taking big strides to, include us in the conversation, and that means a lot to our community. I want to thank you for the post and recognizing our Tribal Recognition Day as well. A lot of people were excited that the district, did that and posted under social media by recognizing our 44th Tribal Recognition Day. We celebrated our sovereignty one more time. We've been here for centuries, and we are proud people. And so I just want to thank you all, President Garcia, Board Member James, all of you, Superintendent. You guys don't know what this means to our community. It means a lot. And I hope that you guys support it and this class will be successful. So with that, Yosem Chokwe Utesia, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ismael. All right, board members. Excuse me. Member James.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who came out and commented. This has been so exciting to see. And I'm thrilled that it's on the agenda tonight because I know this has been a big push that Ismael has had this vision for a long time along with so many other members of the community in Guadalupe. And I think seeing more and more representation for our Pascuayaqui students is so, so important. I always tell Ismael I grew up just down the street from Guadalupe and didn't know anything about my peers. Really didn't know anything about the culture until I was much older, and I think that's a huge disservice to everybody. So it's been wonderful to see this progress, and I want to give a huge thank you to Dr. Mendeville because the conversations that have occurred, the meetings that have been planned, wouldn't have happened without your initiative and thoughtfulness around it, making sure it happened when it needed to happen. So thank you. And to teaching and learning, all the work you did with the tribe and got this going and made sure it was on the agenda is so appreciated by us all. So thank you, and please convey that to Ms. Hilgers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Member James. Vice President Montero.
Yeah, well, first, just want to echo everything that Member James has said and want to thank everyone involved for making this happen. I think really through a lot of the conversations that we've had with the district the past year and a half, 2 years, the way that this ties into all the things, major initiatives that we've talked about, whether that be social, emotional, student performance and growth, equity and inclusion, and making sure that all of our students feel that they have a home and can build connections with those around them at their home site. And so, I want to especially thank President Garcia, you, Dr. Mendeville, and Member James for really listening to our community members and pushing this forward. And, we've talked a lot about making sure that we as a board are including every part of our district. And so I'm so happy to see that we are continuing to build that partnership with Guadalupe. And hopefully this is something that continues long past this board and, in the years to come. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Montero.
If I may say, and thank you, what I enjoy at the times where the efforts from board members and the passion that they have for particular items. So this was a team effort. So thank you, Member James, and the work behind that, and working through some of the nuances that every good project, wonderful project has. And so the work's begun. We're right in the thick of it, and our commitment is certainly there 1,000%. So anyway, it's a joint effort, and it's a nice team effort. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mendenville. Board members, any other thoughts, comments, or questions? All right, then I will wrap it up. But I just think it's very powerful in this moment, particularly because as Community Member Osuna mentioned, that we just had our tribal recognition anniversary, and that is something very powerful to be recognized as a sovereign. But also right on the heels of the anniversary of our own flag ceremony and our recommitment to the tribal nations that we interact with and engage with and share responsibilities with. And we couldn't have done that without the tribal officials, tribal council members, our administrators, Dr. Mendenville, teaching and learning, our folks that have gone through and approved it over at the sites with our assistant principal of academics, and just everyone throughout and the community involvement. This is certainly an effort that has been coming and going, but I'm really proud to see it finally arrive and arrive in this way, because it's something that, as they have said, community members have said so eloquently, being seen and heard takes it to a whole new level. So with that, I move approval of G1. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone. All right, we'll go straight into board policies with H1, policy DIA, accounting system for first reading and adoption. Dr. Mendenville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board, executive team. This policy is as a result of an amendment through House Bill 2179, and it's a process for how a school district applies to assume accountability, responsibility with the State Board of Education. What they have done is, in addition to the State Board of Education, we now have to report to the county school superintendent with the information. And so this is just in compliance with the last House bill so that we have this embedded into our policy. This takes effect January 1. Mr. Carranza, do you have anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, other than it doesn't apply to our district since we've been participating in the accounting responsibility program way before I started in the district in 2006. So I don't know the official year, but basically this means that the responsibility for balancing the books and the finances does not reside with Maricopa County, that it resides with the district. So for the districts that are not participating, this is now defining more steps in that process.
But if we were to return, we'd have to return back to the county school superintendent and then is that correct? I'm just asking for clarification.
If we were to go backwards, we would be limited in not being able to print our own payroll checks and our accounts payable checks. So it would be a change in how we operate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Board members, comments or questions? All right. Since this is a first read and adoption, I move approval of H1. May I have a second, please?
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our motion passes 5-0. Next, we have H2, policy HAC, release time for teacher leader, second reading. Now that's the second reading. I can get excited about it. Dr. Mendeville.
Thank you, President Garcia. This is the second reading, just confirming the 2 release periods for our TSCA representative, and we recommend the approval of this policy.
Excuse me. Board members, any comments or questions? Board Member James.
Just quickly, I know that President Palacios has already hit the ground running and is doing so much, working so hard, so I appreciate you. And I know that these 2 periods are probably not enough to even begin to get the job done, but I know that your work is appreciated, and I'm glad we can honor your time. I look forward to voting yes on this.
Thank you so much, Member James. Board members, any other comments or questions? All right, then I move approval of H2. May I have a second, please?
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next is policy IHA, Basic Instructional Program for First Reading and Adoption. Dr. Mendeville.
Thank you, President Garcia. This is as a result of House Bill 2325, and we are recommending this for first and second reading. It's to establish, can we scroll down that, Chris? A 9/11 education day, which requires schools to dedicate some portion of September 11th, or an adjoining weekend to teaching about terrorist attacks of September 11th. This is as a result, as I mentioned, of a House bill that was passed this last spring, and this is our revision to this particular policy on basic instructional programming.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mendeville. For clarification, you mentioned first read and second read versus first read and adoption?
It's just first reading and adoption,
Okay.
yes.
Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Right, board members. Member Hodge.
Thank you. I think this is a great adoption that we should do because I know what happened on 9/11. I lost 2 first cousins in 9/11. I lost my mom's sister's only 2 children passed away in that. So it's dear to my heart, and I hope we adopt it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. Vice President Montero.
Thank you. I'll echo what Member Hodge said, but I did have a quick question. On the paragraph when it's talking about Sandra Day O'Connor civics, we're striking the language that says which is not a legal holiday. Jordan, does that have any, or what the effect of striking that language is? Is there any effect at all?
No, there's no effect to striking the language. It just reads better.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Board members, any other thoughts, comments, questions? Okay. All right, then I move approval of H3. May I have a second? Thank you so much.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have policy IMB, teaching about controversial and sensitive issues for first reading and adoption. Dr. Mendeville.
Thank you, President Garcia. Again, this is a first reading and adoption recommendation based out of the House Bill 2161. Enables parents to sue governmental entities, districts are that, for usurping the fundamental right of parents to redirect the upbringing, education, health care, and mental health of their children. ASBA is making this recommendation, and it's sensitive issues to reflect that teachers have a great responsibility to educate students, but that parents ultimately direct the upbringing, education, health care, and mental health of their children. And as stated there, has a great responsibility in the formation of the education of all students.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mendeville. Board members, any comments or questions on this item? All right, hearing none, seeing none, I move approval of H4. May I have a second, please?
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have policy JLDAB, referrals to other agencies for first reading and adoption. Dr. Mendeville.
Thank you, President Garcia. This policy is also for first reading and adoption, as you stated. Policy JLDAB, referral to other agencies. It comes from legislation, Jake's Law, which was passed in 2020. It created a fund that provides uninsured and underinsured children access to behavioral health services when they are referred through school-based referrals. Through our multi-tiered system of support, we're making referrals all the time. Now, we just need to make sure that the agencies that are used, and the key piece is an A there, creating a process to allow parents to annually opt in to these kinds of services or referrals. That's our practice. We have reviewed the different services that this will impact, and have processes and procedures and communication out to those different support positions throughout the district, mainly housed within the nursing and the multi-tiered systems of support teams.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Board members? All right, hearing none, seeing none, I move approval of H5. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have policy JLF, reporting of child abuse and child protection for first reading and adoption. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia. Again, first reading and adoption. This is as a result of Senate Bill 1114, adding to ARS 15160.01, that we are required to post related to suspected abuse and neglect of children, instructions to call 911, and directions for accessing the website of the Department of Child Safety to report child abuse. What we've done, and they're posters. We have posters that we've created, and they're large and visible, and we put them in prominent places throughout the schools. And that was the requirement, and we have fulfilled that requirement, and that's just going to be one of our annual checks as we begin and end school.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Board members? All right, hearing none, seeing none, I move approval of H6. May I have a second, please?
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have business services for I-1, Memorandum of Understanding with Tempe Community Council for Transportation Support Scholarship Program through the Open Horizons Program at Marcos Deniza. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia. Last June, you approved the renewal of the MOU with TCC at Tempe Community Council for the Open Horizons Program. It's housed at Marcos Deniza. TCC, some of the work they do is addressing immediate and long-term human service needs in Tempe. It's a nonpartisan organization. And what this is that TCC collaborates with Tempe Union through financial support of the Open Horizons Program. The Dropout Prevention Program provides high-quality childcare in support of students enrolled in the APP program, the Adolescent Pregnancy Parenting Program, and the TAP program, our Teenage Pregnancy and Parenting Program. These dollars are going to be used for transportation, and TCC will provide up to $7,000 to help transport these students who may be open enrolled and not necessarily in our attendance boundaries. District recommends the approval of this MOU.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Member Hodge.
Yeah, I have a quick question for Jordan. Am I allowed to vote on it because I'm on Tempe City Council? Or do I have to abstain?
I believe this is the Tempe Community Council, not the Tempe City Council.
Yeah, but the funding is still coming from us. So I just don't know. I just don't want to cross any lines.
Right. For safety purposes, you can abstain.
Thank you, Member Hodge. Board members, any comments or questions?
Oh, I have one comment. I just want to, from being on the TAP board, thank you guys so much because it's well needed and it's going in a great place.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. Would you like to move approval, Member Hodge?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
never
can't.
mind. Never mind.
I can't.
I got excited there. Does someone, because I feel like I'm always moving for approval, so does anyone else?
I'll move approval of item I1.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain?
I abstain.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. All right, it passes 4-0-1. Next, we have J, Human Resources. Number 1, J1, Addendum to Superintendent's Contract Performance-Based Pay Plan for 2022-2023. Dr. Mendo.
Yes, thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board. Every year I'm required to submit goals, and I'm recommending these two goals for this school year. The goal for December 2022 would be to report to you as the board in a public meeting, as we are doing now, a conclusionary summary of the work of the 4 goal committees based on our current district strategic plan. The strategic plan was developed 5 years ago, and we are required to revise that strategic plan for the next 5 years, beginning 2023-2024 school year. We have been working quite a bit, Dr. Wilson and other team members, in assessing and determining the progress for each of the 4 goal committees that have been exhaustive. During the COVID time, we were on trajectory for many of the goals and that were written and decided upon by the previous board who approved this 5 years ago. And however, as with COVID had an impact on everything. Happily, though, we've made significant progress, and some of those successes we'd like to continue as a recommendation to the upcoming revision of the 5-year strategic plan for 23 through 28 school years. So right now we are gathering a lot of material to present something to you and the public that summarizes the progress and the work that our teachers and our administrators and everyone has been involved with in the improvement of the district in general, but all around making our learning system more efficient, timely with our responses to students, variety of areas that we'll touch upon, but that's my first goal recommendation. In order to move forward in planning for 23-24, well, the 23 through year 28 school year, we need to have a basis by which we can operate from. So the summary and the history that we're going to chronicle and share from the existing 5-year strategic plan, we need to have that as we move forward in the development of the next 5-year strategic plan. The next plan will be extraordinarily comprehensive. It's going to be very much inclusive of our stakeholders. That's very important to me, and I know it's important to this board, and it's important to our community. But we'll have students, staff, community members, our teachers, of course, so a variety of stakeholders to be involved with this process. The last strategic plan was developed in a much shorter time frame, and while I think the outcome was good with our core values and beliefs, I think this process, because it will be quite extensive over a period of 3, if not 4 months, will be far more comprehensive and allow our employees, our community, our administration to have say-so, input, ownership, and therefore hold themselves accountable, along with myself, accountable to the new strategic goals and objectives for the district. And that will be the work of spring with a report, because we need to be ready for the 23-24 2024 school year, because we're starting sooner, first of all, but the goal is to have this in place by May and communicated out, shared, and along with that, a plan to have this properly communicated to all stakeholders, so they understand the vision, the mission, and the direction of the district over the next 5 years.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mendeville. Board members. I know y'all have questions. Member James?
Okay, yes, I do have questions. I guess because we know we're doing the strategic plan, and we have had conversations about working with outside partnerships, right, to have that done, and so we know that's in the works. So I guess the second semester goal, we already know that's going to be and it's a huge process, and I know you're going to have a big role in it. But I would love to see one of your goals having like a student outcome, and it might just be a setting up. I'm not talking about like looking at a percentage move or anything like that, but looking at things in our district, looking at student groups in our district that maybe are, whether it's underrepresentation or could use more services, looking at those student groups and seeing what structures we could put in place, something along those lines where we're really looking at student outcome, because this is affecting student outcome, and we all know that it's huge, especially when it's done right. And I'm so excited about your dedication to doing it the right way. But I guess we're doing the strategic plan, so looking at superintendent-specific goals, could we maybe, table one of them and kind of think of something that has a student outcome, as we talked about?
Well, I think the incorrect assumption is to just assume that there is not a student-driven, student-centered outcomes with this, because that's it actually is going to be the main target in the outcome that we get for the end result in May. So I'm a little confused, but when we talk about a strategic plan, our key purpose is to focus on not only the conditions by which we create for excellence in teaching and learning, but we also put markers within those goals that are going to address our students that through data suggest that we need to be doing better. That a lot of that information is going to be part of what we use when we're developing when I say information, the information that we have today around student data is going to be used as part of the discussions that we have with our stakeholders, so that everyone is quite aware that we need to be very targeted with the goals that as a district we have. I'll leave it at that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's why I said I know this is all, we're always looking at student outcomes, and everything we do in our strategic plan should be absolutely centered around that. I think, and we talk about this a lot, our ELL students, looking at that, because I think that's a big gap. And part of that is the English-only instruction law we have on the books. That's what we're working with in Arizona. And so we have to really be a little more creative sometimes in what we're providing. But I guess that's one group I'm saying, like we look at that graduation rate. We've talked a lot about those different statistics, and say looking at a student group such as that, and I'm using that because you and I have extensive conversations on that, using that in a student group and coming up with a goal that could put structures in place that we would be able to then see measurable outcome. and not saying as your goal, like, oh, so now I want to see X outcome by May, but what structures could be in place to better support those students. I guess that's kind of a goal, a student-centered goal I'd like to see, because we're doing the strategic plan that's part of our job and obligation as a district. I hope that's clear.
No, I totally understand the need for that kind of a goal. I don't know that it fits here because it's so specific and targeted. That's just my thought on that. Because these are semester goals. Now we're moving to a new format. Okay, I'll leave it at that. And so having a goal for me that's separate from the performance, this type of a performance pay goal is different, because I hear what you're saying, and if others want to chime in on that as well, but it's something that I can certainly establish. We have goals for those right now. I can pull them in and provide those to you in a study session, and you can see where each of the schools are with that targeted specific information, which I think is what you're really asking, because it's not going unnoticed or unaddressed. And
Excuse me, Member Hodge.
Okay, let me I think that when you talk about your semester goals, your performance goal, it does encompass it. It's a little bit different than your quarterly goals, correct? That would go more into depth of what she's talking about, versus the semester goals should have more of a broad horizon to it. Am I giving it?
Okay. My impression of the semester goals is that they're not necessarily broad, they're targeted, very specific to.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have these two pieces done extraordinarily well, that has to be very foundational to the work that we will be embarking on right after those are approved, because everything's going to have to be tied to those strategic goals. And that means everybody's going to have to be aligned with the direction that we realize through that process in the revision and the development of the new strategic plan.
Okay, I shouldn't have used the word broad.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean, like, maybe I was just saying more focus, or I'm trying to just bring it together. So, okay. All right.
Member Braza.
Just for the sake of understanding the performance-based plan tonight. So first off, okay, so looking at section, C, frequency and timing. So are we looking at the 2 semesters independently, and I would say second semester would have, or first semester would have no effect on the May meeting? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, they're 2 separate goals, and so the work we're already starting is for the first semester goal. Because we need to have that information to share with the stakeholders for the revision of the strategic plan for 23-28.
Okay, so the first semester goal, essentially the 4 goal committees will report or create a conclusionary summary of the work, and that will be presented to the board, or?
So it's going to be, we need to report. It'll probably be either a study session or at a board, but a public meeting. It's exhaustive, so we're going to contain this in a manner that's in a summary form to look at the various aspects of the current strategic plan. And right now, I know Dr. Wilson and I have talked to and worked with folks about what that's going to look like. How did we get here? Where's the evidence to support that? Okay, we did achieve this goal. What's the back? There's a lot of material that goes with a lot of this stuff. So for me as the superintendent, it's nice to have this flow of information and the development, collection, summarizing, understanding this information as we move forward in our next 5-year plan. So you're building upon one with we need this first semester goal, and I need time to achieve that. Same thing with the second semester. That's going to be even more exhaustive in organizing the consulting firm and my role in that and everyone else's role in that. So we have a really comprehensive product to launch the next 5-year plan.
Okay, I appreciate that. And since all board members are part of our committees, I don't think there is, but can you at least look and see if there are any conflicts with creating the conclusionary summaries and putting our opinions, I guess, if they make it to the summaries more or less, just in terms of, boards being a part of that language. So that's all, if you could just look into that. Other than that, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Member Braza. All right, so I guess I'm struggling with this a little bit, mostly because while I understand that this is very essential and important to the next 5 years, right, and how we're looking at what we've learned from this last strategic plan and how we're setting up the next one. But I guess I view that as kind of integral as to what we're already supposed to do. And I was trying to kind of get context and like remind myself and get a refresher on what the other ones were. And so just kind of for memory's sake, we had the family advisory.
Family advisory.
We had
the MT, I mean, I can't remember
Yeah.
them all either, but the MTSS data dashboard.
The Gifted Academy at Mountain Point. And so when I view those in context with each other, I kind of view it as in addition to kind of something that we need to identify that furthers items that we know that we need but haven't been integrated into our systems. Because those, I mean, the data dashboard and the family advisory council, like those are essential pieces that have helped inform you to better do your job. And I think with strategic planning, while I agree that it needs to be very comprehensive in that stakeholder engagement, I'm not so sure that, I guess I don't know how to communicate the tension within myself to looking how which one, if not both, kind of fit that same context of what we're looking at. Because long term, yes, we're going to be doing either way. Like there's no other alternative, right? Like we will be doing, and the next board will continue to kind of guide that in full detail. So I don't know if you have any thoughts to that.
Other than I think there's an assumption that there are aspects of the many goals that we do that aren't that they're not happening, and I guess that's a false assumption at least, and so the notion around a student-centered goal or something, or a condition or a program review, we're doing that all the time. So there's a lot of things that can be selected for. These are just two big projects, and I think the assumption to say that, all right, it's something we're going to do anyway, it needs to be on my radar front and foremost. And so if we had to include any idea about, because these are pivotal to me, so I guess that's why I've submitted them. They're pivotal for me to do my job and to lead with the direction, lead with clarity on our next 5 years, and with a very focused, student-centered, with the attention there. in how we approach learning and being very specific and targeted about that. So I think the assumption that these are just, we're going to do them anyway, I don't know. I have a different opinion because I'm embracing all of these very, very wholeheartedly because they're going to be setting the trajectory of the district over the next 5 years. So if those aren't important enough, I just need to hear your direction on that.
No, and thank you for sharing that, Dr. Meadow. And I think it's important to recognize that this is important. It's extremely important, right? But I think in terms of how we're distinguishing it, because it is tied to performance pay, I think that's why it gives us, at least for me, it gives me a little pause because I want to be fully understanding of what this looks like. And then question for you, though, for the first semester goal, because by December 2022, we do have, I believe, one board meeting in December. For providing that for all the data from and the conclusions, right, of the 5-year plan. Is that
reasonable? Considering how much else is going on and other things that.
We're going to have to
hasn't
make
been-
it work because we're starting the work with, when we get back from Christmas break, the work is going to start in putting all the pieces together with the consulting CAM solutions. And so then we can start, and it is immense and similar to Tempe Elementary's process. There's a lot of work that goes into that, and we want to look to what they've done. Member James, thank you for sharing some of that. It is a huge, huge process. So we have to make it work for her so we can move into proper planning in January. So that's why we put it'll be December 14th. And we can call a special meeting to do that, but I believe we will be prepared December 14th.
I'm still reflecting and thinking. Board members? I don't see no lights. So let me ask you this. How much work has already been done for the December 2022? Because I imagine there's with 5 years of data already.
There's a lot of work that's already been done with that. They've had meetings. I think you just had a meeting this week, in fact, or last week. Yeah, I mean, we're happening to do it. I mean, we have to understand, okay, what did we do well? What did we learn from certain things, and what didn't we do well, and why? And all that is going to be summarized, but it's also going to be packaged in a way to hand over to the next committee and the stakeholders so that they understand the history of the last 5 years and the work that we've done, so that we can continue or build or refine those areas that we've seen positive results, and then those areas that need additional work. It's telling a story, in my opinion, and in my thought process. I need to see a conclusion of the beginning and how we're moving into this next chapter, because this is going to be the next 5 years of the story. If that's illogical or it doesn't make sense for semester goals, I just need to have direction from you guys. So, and I understand that.
Member James?
Sorry, I pushed my buttons in the wrong order. Yeah, and I think this goes to the conversations about, we were talking about the process and so on, and we're, to come up with these goals as a board and superintendent, and I think we're trying to kind of have that conversation right now, and it's a pretty hefty one, but it is supposed to be something that is set with us all, so I think that's part of the.
And if I may, I understand that. I just think we're putting the cart before the horse right now with that additional element of
board involvement with board goals, superintendent goals, and that's appropriate to say because this is part of what we are striving for. So I that's part of my dilemma with this, is because I feel like I need pieces of information, and this is a pivotal piece that I have, so I can speak confidently about the direction of the district and speak confidently about what our students, what our teachers and our administrators need to move forward, so that we see increased and better student outcomes across the board.
Member Braza.
So the way I look at it is the necessity ultimately to move forward, correct, with the conclusions and having that data in order to formulate the next semester and start the ground running in that respect. Conflicting with the December scheduling and our loaded agenda for the fall, is there a possibility to put this presentation into two parts, again, with maybe two of our strategic committees having the ability to put something together by late November, and then the following one in December, and therefore fulfilling the first semester goal of getting the information without loading down that December date? We don't have to really look at that right now, but that is just something maybe just for discussion of being able to accommodate for productivity of our the district's agenda.
I thank you. I understand that. I do think that the December 14th date is achievable. I mean, we back designed much of this, and if it's not achievable, then I don't get my goal. I mean, it is that, but my story, the whole point is, this is the foundational piece to the next foundational piece. So it's like, for me, this is very, very important, because I have to fully understand the outcomes, how we did, what we need to do better, why we didn't do well here, understand all that and articulate that to all these groups out there, because then that's going to be part of the discussion and the development in the revision of our next strategic plan. That is where my mind is, and because I'm taking, as I should, take this very, very seriously, because these are two big foundational serious pieces of data that I'd like to be able to share with you in a meaningful way, that our community can understand the work that we have accomplished and the areas where we can improve upon.
Yeah, I certainly don't question that you wouldn't bring that full. It's whether it's a performance bit, but Vice President Montero.
Thank you. I think the part that I'm struggling with is kind of trying to be able to separate the two goals here, right? Because the first semester goal, you're saying you're going to offer 3 to 6 recommendations for improvement, and then the second goal is saying that you're going to offer that revised strategic plan based on those 3 to 6 recommendations, correct? So kind of what is the work already being done for goal 2 in goal 1, or what is the process between the two going to look like based on the presentation you give for the first semester goal?
No, maybe that needs to be rewritten, but that's not how it was intended to be written. So obviously when you do a summary, especially after a 5-year review, you're going to glean some things you did extraordinarily well and learn from that. And you're going to have other areas where you think, okay, this fits in, and I'm offering it. We're going to offer it for consideration, but that's just it. That's your strategic plan for 23, 28 isn't based on this for 3 or 6 things. Absolutely not. It's going to be, I can tell you, a heck of a lot more than that. They're just areas or items to consider as we develop a big strategic plan with goals. It also may mean that we add more goals. So we're going to take into consideration all of that, but I can't do that alone. That is going to be through the work and the discussions of our teachers and our staff, our students, our parents, our community stakeholders, So absolutely not just on 3 or 6 items. You don't build a strategic plan based on that. It's going to be included or embedded or considered. The teams themselves will have to decide upon what are the priorities for Tempe Union and our schools over the next 5 years. This is an exhaustive process. I was in a process like this in Mesa years ago, and so I'm familiar with much of that process. It took us 3 to 4 months, and that's what it's going to take to do this.
Just want to provide clarification just based on what's in the wording right now.
Now, if I need to reword this in a different way, I'd be happy to do that, but this is an exhaustive process. So.
Excuse me, Member Hodge.
With that last clarification that you just said, it helps me to understand. So on my part, I'm ready to go forward for saying, yes, you can. But I know the other board members, I'm just weighing my part in. So I'm ready to say yes.
Thank you, Member Hodge.
Can I make one other comment? Because I'm talking, right, I guess. When you look at all the other goals, those have been, a lot of those goals and the outcomes are going to be included with the new strategic 5-year plan. And much of those are part of what we wanted to prioritize in the current goals. So that's going to be some of the successes that we have there. But, when we talk about restorative practices, I mean, that's kind of one of those areas where that better be included when we work into the next 5-year plan. I mean, we're going to offer it and present that. The continuation and refinement of what we do for social emotional wellness is another aspect of that, and not just for our students, but include that with how are we taking care of our teachers and our staff. So it's things like that, the data dashboard we've talked about, the Gifted Academy. How are we targeting those under-identified students in the gifted and talented program at Mountain Point? They're there, and we're seeing more and more progress with that. So it's just things like that have to be embedded. When you talk about, areas for student achievement or that are student-focused, these are those embedded areas that will complement later more, and I say that deliberately, later more defined and targeted and specific student-centered goals that with the strategic plan development we create together for the 23-24 school year and beyond. We develop them yearly, annually, together as a board in this new process.
I don't know. Generally speaking, speaking for myself, I don't feel like I'm ready to vote on this today, but I certainly understand the urgency and the importance of it. And I'm considering that we are working towards it already. That's kind of where I'm at, but I'm working through this, and while I appreciate the clarifications, but yeah. So I don't know if any other board member has any other thoughts or comments or questions for Dr. Mendeville. Member Hodge.
That we should take it to a vote and see how it goes instead of just going back and forth on it. Maybe if it doesn't pass, then we table it, but we should just take it to the vote.
Well, if it does not pass, then I need to have direction from the board.
Yeah.
Specific direction, because I need to have direction from the board.
So let me get Member James, and then I'll ask you a question, then we'll get to Mr. Bowser. Member James.
Okay, I know you've already started on semester 1, and I think you've explained the importance of it and how you're going to utilize that data. And we can have more conversations about that throughout the semester. Is there a way to approve one goal and revisit another?
That's up to you. I would say, I mean, well, if you approve one goal, I'm going to have a goal ready for the next board meeting, because part of these kinds of goals, these two specific goals are so big, and they involve a lot of people. I've got to back design and plan the work that goes in, because this isn't just my work. There's all sorts of other stuff that happens, so I have to utilize my time in an efficient way and utilize the time of others that I know are going to have contributions to this.
Because here's the thing for me, in terms of like voting logistically, I don't want to vote down those, if that makes sense. Like I feel more comfortable, to Sarah's suggestion, let's say approving one goal and then tabling the other one, and maybe getting it for the next for the next meeting, since I know in the past we have approved goals in like November and December as well. So I don't know if that's amendable to the board. Member Braza.
One sec. Okay, so ultimately, the board has to approve your strategic plan, correct? There's going to be plenty of conversations in which we're going to have
Well, you'll be involved.
our own, yes, as we've had in
You
the
have to
past.
be
And so
involved.
that for me is primary, looking at the 5-year aspect of what is being representative and what is ultimately going to be that plan and how the approval process. And nothing's changing in terms of that. Board still approves. For me, I guess the big thing I'm looking at, just more or less with the December timeline, is just the pressure and commitment required that would be putting on staff to be able to formulate the conclusionary summaries and do the work on top of the work they're already doing. And giving enough time to be able to put that together and present it is important to me. Being able to move forward with something in terms of the clarity. I guess for me is I'm good with it because it's broad, and it still puts it on the board to approve the strategic plan. And ultimately, we're talking about you're recommending 3 to 6 goals for improvement, which I and other board members, we're probably going to pull your ear on that until that December date too, regarding that aspect. So,
But for clarification, the 3 to 6 recommendations are being offered based on the conclusionary summary, to just add depth to the process for the revision development process.
and those 3 to 6 recommendations, are we approving those at the December meeting? Is that the idea?
Well, right, when you approve the goal, it's going to be based on, I'm not going to just recommend something that's haphazard. It's going to be in context. There's a rationale and reason why the executive team and others would make these kinds of recommendations alongside me, of course, but because they're important enough to continue or to revise or to refine as we move forward.
These committees don't meet regularly, sometimes they're large and they're difficult to get people to coordinate. That's also a part of the concern of working towards getting that conclusionary summary. And I guess ultimately it's the nuts and bolts. So this is broad enough that I can, give you my input when we discuss kind of like what I would like to see in a conclusionary summary for the strategic plans, just saying like, can they add X, Y, Z? I think this is okay for me right now because it's broad and ultimately we're not going to be moving forward with the second semester goal unless we get the first semester goal situated, right?
So I would feel
So the discussion could not even occur.
I would feel comfortable if you considered for approval the first semester goal and let's table the second goal so that we can move on.
That's
Not-
ultimately
not
what I was thinking,
strictly to
was
move on,
we
but
at least
so that
need to
we can
move
have more
forward with
time to do that.
Okay.
So there's more intentional timing for the second goal. How's that? Sound good? Does that sound amendable to folks?
Yeah, I think, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I have clarification, because this is, your performance goal, and we are going to do a strategic plan. We want to make sure we have your complete focus on it, of course, and I know you're going to have it. Like, you've been talking about this for a long time. I know this is important. Just making sure that we have that conversation, that understanding of that strategic plan. I mean, if we say, no, we don't want that goal, we're still doing a strategic plan. And I know you're still going to be 100% whole in it. So just if we can have those outside conversations, then just to solidify that second goal and make sure we're all on the same common understanding. That sound good? Okay.
So really quick, what was the language, Member Hodge, that you and Dr. Mendenville were talking about in terms of the clarification for goal 1? Because I know there's a...
You mean I don't know if it needs clarification. We just need the superintendent will offer, I could use my glasses, I have them right here. Will offer 3 to 6 recommendations for improvement based on the conclusionary summary, so that it's considered in the development of everything is always under consideration. The new team that's developed through the strategic plan revision team, and I mean that's an exhaustive, extensive team, that information is going to be shared. They could say, no, you're way off, Dr. Mendenville, and I'd be happy with that, because this is going to be a stakeholder invested group.
Sorry, thank you. I just want to make sure that Member Hodge's question with respect to the language was
Yep, that is great. And I'm also, Mr. President, I'm also okay with tabling the second one and just going on with the first one.
Okay. In that case, I move approval within J1 of the first semester goal and tabling the second semester goal.
I second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone. This is
This is part of the
the
process.
work, part of the process. All right, next we have K1 informational reports through September 15, 2022. Keep in mind that this is informational only. We do have an Innovation Center update. Before you go into that, I know that we have for items 4, 5, and 6, just for prefacing for the school, for board members, if we can kind of keep that short because it is getting a little later. But Dr. Mendenville?
Thank you, President Garcia. We're going to move with, I'm going to ask Dr. Barella to come forward to present the Innovation Center update. A lot happening behind the scenes there, and this is a good time to update, and we plan on another update real soon here around registration time. Thank you, Dr. Barella.
My pleasure. It's an honor to be here this evening. So thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, board members, Superintendent Mendenville, and the executive team. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening and give you a quick update. I say quick because I see the time, so plan on being quick anyway. I was here with you in April, so I will just go ahead and move forward with giving you the summary. And as we move along, I'm assuming if there's questions, working with Dr. Mendenville and myself later on, or however that is to roll out this evening. Obviously, it's up to all of you how you manage that. So the Innovation Center, basically just reminding everybody that it's a program focusing on dynamic learning options designed to engage students in real-world projects following a problem-solution-based learning model. So that's what we landed on when we met with our design teams last year, and I shared that in April, how many different stakeholders were involved. And then this quote that I had last time, basically, this quote really says voice and choice for our students. And so we want to give the opportunity for students within the Tempe Union High School District, as well as students outside of our district, to really have voice and choice in their learning. And I believe our district is really doing a fabulous job in offering a variety of options at schools, specific programs, as well as our Tempe Union online. We know families want choices in their education. So allowing them to actually be at a site and take an online school, an online program or course, as well as now inviting them to join us at the Innovation Center if they choose to work in a different learning environment. So I just really want to commend Dr. Mendeville and the board for really working towards providing alternative and more options for our students, because that is what our community wants and that's what our students want. So I really think we're on a great path of really servicing all of our students in Tempe Union, as well as pulling those back that maybe left us, that they're like, well, let's see what's going on there. And also with open enrollment students as well, because Tempe Union, as we all know, is simply an amazing district. That's why we're all here. A quick update, just for the agenda topics, update, next steps, and then questions. So I'll start with an update on our learning facilitators. So instead of calling my teachers, they landed on learning facilitator because that's what they're going to be doing, facilitating learning. So this is just a quick rundown of what we've been working on, and I'll unpack just a few of these. So we have 5 teachers, 1 ELA teacher, 2 science teachers, 1 business CTE teacher, and a social studies teacher. So we have been doing a lot of research and professional development since we started August 1st. As you all know, you approved CAM Solutions to work with us. She's coming in 1 day or 2 days a week, and we are spending a lot of time doing research and a variety of project-based learning, articles across the country, across the world, videos, and really looking at how we want to roll out the Innovation Center. We also have met with the amazing marketing team, so I want to thank Megan Sterling for her amazing team. We met with them literally the first week we were here to really work through how we can start marketing, and so they all came in and gave us wonderful ideas, and then we have our own social media platforms, and so I'll share that in a minute, and so hopefully you all are following what's happening at the Innovation Center. They had a great idea and said, let's kind of roll out something every week about the Innovation Center to pique people's interest and have them saying, okay, what's next? What's next? So working with them has been amazing. We're also working through, as our 6-member team, including myself, high performance teams. We are specifically and strategically doing activities and working through different projects so that we can become a high performance team. We're just not a group of teachers and educators getting together. High performance teams have to work very well together and appreciate and respect each other's differences. And it's so funny because the teachers are like, oh my gosh, we are all so different. So they understand that in order for us to be an amazing institution, we all have to be different to bring our ideas forth, to come together collectively for an amazing program for our students. And I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Keller and Megan because they helped me work through that entire interview process. And so it's been a wonderful experience. We're together 8 hours a day. So we are bonding, I just have to say. It's been a good thing. So we also created our vision, mission, and our values and our goals, and we were keeping in line with our current strategic plan as well. And then we had the content specialists come in and we made sure that we understood the standards for every content area, the scope and sequence, because obviously standards and mastery of standards is number one, along with all of the skill set that the design team created for the portrait of a Innovation Center learner and leader. So we're staying on top of that as well. We also have been working through a project-based learning framework, helping guide the work. So currently we have 5 phases, and each phase we have details because we have to figure out when are we going to have benchmarks, when are we going to hit the milestones, when are we going to grade, what kind of rubrics are we going to use. So we're really working through that framework, and again, looking around the world what some schools are doing already with project-based learning to not recreate the wheel, but also make it our own. And then we're also working at a project-based learning template in order to help us, the educators, really follow a process so that we are also making sure we're leading the students on the right direction of their learning. And those are all in detail. I'm more than happy to provide any and all of this in writing if you all would like that in the future. Next, here's a picture of the team. So here we are, Mr. Foster, far left-hand corner. He comes to us from Desert Vista. He's been in the district for, I think 22 years. And then we have in the middle, Matt Zarkin. He comes to us from Colorado. And to the right is Jason Parsons, and we stole him from Tempe L. But they're not mad. Charlotte has said that's okay because he's going to be doing a great job here with us. And then Dr. Mary Powell, she's in the green on the right, and she was with us at Mountain Point for about 6 years in ELA. And last year she was at Chandler similar. So we pulled her back in the district. And then to the right is Rihanna Rodriguez, and she comes to us from the West Valley. And so they're a dynamic team. And thank you, Warren, for taking that amazing picture. Oh, he's not here. Our marketing, here's our social media handle, and Noah is doing a great job in advertising for us and working with us to roll out social media. We also, Dr. Powell is writing a blog, and it's also on our webpage. So it's under programs on the district website. So if you want to kind of see all that information, we have PowerPoints there, and Mary's doing a blog as well. In our vision, we created this vision. It's empowering tomorrow's innovators today. And our mission is activating student ingenuity, developing student agency, and engaging in authentic collaboration that promotes empathy, perseverance, and critical thinking. So this is for us to stay focused on what we're doing every day with our students. And then we came up with some values that we feel we as educators have to be role models, but also help our students as well. And I'll let you read the definition. So basically it's trust, respect, integrity, inclusion, and tenacity. And then our annual goals, we have a lot of goals, but these three are extremely crucial to move the work forward. And one obviously is partnerships with our internal stakeholders, with our school sites, teachers, also with our business partners, community partners. So the whole premise of the Innovation Center is focused on partnerships. So we have a strategic goal on that and exactly the steps and what we have to do in order to make that happen. And then the project framework, of course, is extremely important. So we have a robust framework and that we're making sure that we are mastering every single standard and preparing our students for both college and career and supporting what the high schools are doing every day. And then the high performance teams, in order for us to be able to help our students become a high performance team member, we also have to be high performance team members. So with that, we have to learn, and we're doing this every day. If we disagree on something, it's great. It's wonderful, because it's an opportunity then to listen and learn from others, and then again, come up with a final product that is simply amazing. So working that through as a team, we're experiencing the passion and the emotion so that we can then also teach our students to do that as well. And then the update for our partnerships. So we've had partnership outreach, we've had partnership sessions, and I'll share a little bit more about that in the next slide. We've had partnership commitments with us. We've gone to a couple different partnership tours. We've been to McCarthy and also TGen, and then we have a school tour coming up in Iowa Big, which all of you are aware because you approved. And then after Iowa Big, we'll decide if we need to visit some more schools locally that have project-based learning within their school. So a little bit different than what we're doing, but we know that we can always gain ideas from watching other educators. There's been principal communication. The principals have been absolutely amazing and supportive in moving the work forward and meeting with their assistant principals, their counselors, and moving forward with registration at their site. So they've been simply amazing. And now we're working on the site partnerships during the registration process. And in the when we get back in October, we'll be working on specific teacher partnerships to potentially go in the spring and do a project in their classroom alongside of them, lending them those supports and working through that. We met with John Zump and working through potential IT needs that we're going to need next year because we are an innovation center. So do we need anything different for the teachers and the students? So he's been amazing with that. Right now we have a grant out. So again, with Megan's team, Diane Welling, she put together a grant through the Super Bowl opportunity. And so we're hoping that we'll get that grant to help us purchase some makerspace items. And then we've been working with ADM Construction, and they're going to do some slight renovations downstairs in the D building to make the space look a little bit more innovative, right? Lifting the ceilings and then also breaking down some walls while making sure that we are very cognizant of areas for safety. So we're working through all of that, and with Sean, he's been a great help in that area. And we've also worked with Maya's team, EdTech, with Schoology to figure out the best way to track everything, because there's a lot of project tracking. And then with Synergy, Learning Synergy as well. So we've had great partnerships external, internally. So we had 4 different business sessions in 2 days. We had one in the morning and one in the afternoon, August 18th and 19th. We had over 40 business and community partners attend, and now we are in the process of meeting with them one-on-one. So we have met with 17 business partners that have committed to us to provide projects for us, and so we're working through the rest of the list. Business people are very busy, so we're very patient in making time when they have time, and they're also introducing us to other businesses. So like every week we have 2 or 3 different meetings with different businesses, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, we're on board, we love Tempe Union, we want to help. So it's really exciting, and we're very confident with the business partnerships that we've established. It's all kind of new, so we're all going to work this thing out together. And so we're working through that process. And just the next 2 slides are just the different businesses that did attend our business sessions for your information. And then the next steps, the action plan, last year I showed you, so 2021 we've successfully completed, and now we're on to 2022 and 23. And so the specific focus, as you can see, is continue planning, PD, making our partnerships internal and external, and marketing and registration. And then next year it's going to come July. We're so excited. So the next steps is registration, and I want to give a shout out to Steve, who's here this evening. Thank you so much. He has been an integral part in planning and also helping me get in front of the APAs and the counselors to help us work through all those registration logistics, because there's a lot that has to be done in communication, and just the rollout of registration is quite the process. And so what we've decided, and the support of the principals and the APAs and counselors and Steve, is that each one of us, so there's 6 of us, each one of us will be assigned to a high school during registration, so we're able to be a value add to the counselors and answer questions that students might have or parents, so that the counselor at the end of the day they don't have like 50 questions that they have to email us. So we are going to be at the sites in order to help facilitate that and help them work through the registration for the Innovation Center students, making sure they're on track to graduate, and all of that, all of the items that we need to be very cognizant of when students are selecting courses. And then we will have a couple of dates in November for some open houses, and we will share those with you when we decide on those. And continuing to work with Megan's team and marketing, not only internally, but also, like I shared, we certainly want to grab families that may have left Tempe Union that may want to come back for this program, and then they will enroll in one of our homeschools, or choose to do online. So they could do online in the morning or afternoon and then come to the Innovation Center. So we have a lot of options for families. And then certainly marketing out to open enrollment families as well. So we can, basically tell students, this is the place to be. Tempe Union, come on, let's go. And then the school tours I had mentioned earlier. And then the logistics, although we're a program and not a graduating high school, because we're not on a high school campus, we still have to think of everything that a high school thinks of so that we're prepared for our students. And that's obviously the bell schedule and transportation to align with our sister schools, so students get to their home school by the end of the day so they can participate in all the clubs and activities and extracurricular activities. That's very important. And then obviously with transportation, working with Sam, we're meeting with him again on Friday to work through the logistics. And then the items like discipline, attendance, the eligibility for extracurricular, I've already met with Mr. Huffine and we've worked through that already. The social emotional piece, Ron Denny and Robin from Care 7, they're really being a support and doing some professional development with my teachers. And then also the ACES training, the trauma informed, we're going to go through that entire program. And then the diversity inclusivity, we're working with Dr. Moon as well. We want to have a more in-depth training in these areas because we won't have a counselor on site, so we need to be as prepared as possible to help students in any way. If we do need a support with a counselor, Ron Denny has said he will be more than happy to come on over. And so we also have, Amy Hickel and her counselor if we need to, and then Marcos is right down the street. So we feel very comfortable that we'll be able to service our students in the social emotional capacity if need be. And then we're also working through grading and grades, like I mentioned earlier. And then the Tier 1 and MTSS academic and behavior supports. We'll have some good supports in place as well. If the students are not performing, we'll put steps together to lend supports to them. And then just the communication with the sites on a regular basis. And I will be connecting with the deans for the discipline and the dropout prevention coordinator for attendance. And we'll come up with a solid plan of communication and how we're going to make sure that we don't have any students that fall through the cracks going from the Innovation Center to their home school. So we'll work on a little bit more on those logistics in the spring to solidify that. And so that is my quick summary for this evening. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, board members, questions, comments? Board member James?
I just want to say thank you so much. You've given us a lot of information, and I look forward to being able to go and see what is happening over there. And I would love to talk to you outside of the meeting at some point. But this was a really exciting presentation. I've heard really great things, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation and for all this work, especially I think it's fun getting to design something that is creative and it helps address various challenges that we're all facing. So thank you. Similar to Member James, I have a few thoughts and comments for you, but in the interest of time, I'll definitely hold them and share them with you at the later time.
Okay, thank you so much.
And thank you for doing the social emotional, like really you're looking at it in so many different angles and aspects. It's going to be really great for our kids because of that thoughtfulness. So thank you.
Of course, thank you.
I have questions, but I will definitely email you.
All right, next we will go through K3, process for updating dress code. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board, executive team. This is just kind of a follow-up to some of the steps that we've already taken around the dress code policy. Similar to Kyrene, we're going to be engaging a more comprehensive review of our dress code policy, and that will involve our students, teachers, staff, site administration, and our families. Looking at current trends with relations to student dress code policy. The work that the prior original committee did two and a half years ago, they did some really good work, but a lot of their focus was more around the what is it called, the headdresses. And so I think now is a time to look at that more comprehensively, with the focus to ensure that any student is not viewed in a shaming manner, or this is addressed in a shaming manner. That is never our intention. However, we need to make sure that the adults that are addressing potential dress code violations do that in a very dignified way. I want to look more at more generalized guidelines around dress code versus gender-specific guidelines. I think that's going to be helpful with where we are today. And the policy language recommendations coming to you, we need to, my goal, this could be a goal, now that I'm saying it out loud, is that in preparation, because this needs to be in place for the handbook printing and also for so that we're prepared for the 23-24 school year. I also want to include a very specific training, a retraining of our teachers and staff so that we do put forward the dignity of all our students and our staff as we approach situations like this, because it's not going to be a bad thing to have a refresh around that, because I truly don't think any of our employees have any ill intent around that, but how we approach something as sensitive as that needs to be looked at in a more comprehensive, thoughtful, and dignified way, because that is who we are in Tempe Union. Just as the first meeting is the September 29th. So thank you, Sean McDonald. Your spirit, I wanted to be there, but I'm going to be at a conference. But I will be at all the other meetings as we move forward in the year. My goal is to bring something forward to you in the spring, April, May, so that we have this approved, because this will be policy change, that we have this approved for the following year, as I mentioned. Member James and I believe someone else provided to me Mesa's policy, and Mesa went through an exhaustive process a couple years back, and actually it's very good. So we're going to anchor some of our thinking and decisions and discussions around some of that policy. Quick little note, the original committee had 16 folks on it. We're expanding that to 31 with new students and some new parent families involved with the discussion and with this process. So that is my report, just for information only.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Next, quick update about the ASBA Law Conference. All 5 of us were there. Very excited about that. We got to learn about all the things, including, I actually don't know what Jessica was on, but various things. And, and I think it's also important because it helps us stay updated on the various changes of law and how we're able to best serve our students, our families, and our community as a whole, and have the best informed information process to get information and make those decisions for the community. But I'll pass it over to Vice President Montero for K-5 and Member James, who were the delegate and the alternate delegate for the ASBA Delegate Assembly.
Thank you, President Garcia. So yes, so the Delegate Assembly is held annually with the School Board Association. Every district that is a part of the association gets one delegate and is basically the guiding principle for the association when it comes to the next legislative session. And so we had some good conversation around the aggregate expenditure limit, around school safety and supports, around raising teacher pay. So we had some really good conversation around some important educational topics, and I think we'll guide the association in a really good direction for this upcoming legislative session. And Member James had an amendment related to ELL, and I'll let her explain a little bit about that.
One of the recommendations was that we advocate and lobby the legislature for more supports for bilingual education. So we had conversations saying one of our biggest obstacles, as we just talked about actually, is our Prop 203, which was an English language only instruction law. And so that is really the biggest roadblock in our bilingual education. So if we're really going to advocate for supports, we should also advocate for the referral of that proposition and the repeal of it and replacement with something that is research-based for our ELL learners. So that was approved and added to the political agenda.
Thank you both so much. They were in action at the Delegate Assembly. And it's always funny to me because Tempe Union is definitely a presence when all of us are there. And definitely known for that too. So thank you all for going to the conference, and then also to Vice President Montero and Member James for being our delegate and alternate in representation there.
You know what, Mr. President? Tempe Union was throughout the whole thing because I was on a legislative committee.
Oh,
so
that's right. That's right.
The,
I know. I am so sorry. I was as a county director, I was in the back watching it go down. But you were definitely up in the front as part of the committee, making sure that was going through. So I apologize, Member Raj. You are absolutely.
Oh,
right.
I was just saying that Tempe Union was throughout the whole process.
Yes.
And you provided some really good clarifications as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good day.
All right, so next we have case 6. This is a request for future agenda items. I do want to recognize Member Barraza for bringing it to our attention and requesting this, but actually the clarification was for just logistical because it was actually already part of our agenda. So moving forward, because this is information only and we want to follow open meeting law, right? We want to make sure that these requests are reasonable and that this is not a forum to air grievances, right? And so just kind of being mindful of that. When making these requests, there should be no discussion. This is clearly just for information, making those requests for future agenda items or suggestions. And Dr. Mandeville in the agenda setting can make recommendations from there. But I just wanted to set it up first before we went into it. Perfect. Before we go straight into it, though, I do want to say, like, maybe for time's sake today, 1 or 2, so we can move forward and wrap up the meeting.
Or any at all, yeah.
Having said that, any board members have any items? Member Rossi.
Just really quick, it's more for consideration, just surrounding the ability to be able to talk about the board retreat. And just so, I don't know if that needs to be agendized, but, you know, that's just something that we can have a discussion around later, that's all.
All right, board members, anything else? All right, then we'll go straight into communications from governing board members. Who would like to go first? Yeah, we're almost there. Member Barraza.
I'll be very brief for the sake of time. First, I just want to say, you know, it was great to see the field revealing at Mountain Point. The students very much appreciate it. And I saw a wonderful moment where we had 2 student athletes come in, thank Kevin Mendeval and talk to and thank Berdetta, you know, board member Hodge for, she's been a part of the field project since the beginning, and in fact, a strong advocate for it. And so it was really cool to see the students come in and then shake your hand, Dr. Mendeval, and really say thank you. I think that was a really great moment. The Hall of Fame for Mountain Point, congratulations to the 4 inductees. I volunteered at the Healing Fields putting up flags on 9/11 at Tempe Town Lake. Marcos Anissa Field revealing is this Friday, so anyone, please encourage everyone to go and attend it. It's important, I think, for the community to be able to see these projects. Thank you for Sean for touring, showing us, Dr. Hodge,
Not yet.
Board Member Hodge and I, some of the construction sites surrounding the fields, you know, Marcos Nisa and Mountain Point in the past couple weeks, so thank you for that. That's all I really have at the moment, and, you know, I wish everyone well. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Barraza. Member Hodge.
I'll just say, I'll echo everything he said, because he got most of it in for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Hodge.
And I just want to recognize this is a Domestic Violence Month. And to the tribes, I wanted to say, you know, congratulations on another anniversary. So that's about it.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. Vice President Montero.
I'll echo everything everyone said, and just for the sake of time, but I do want to recognize that it is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and I want to thank Mr. McDonald and Mr. Denny, I know he's not here, but for all the work, and really for all the work that everyone has done. You know, we as a district are a leader in the state in social emotional wellness, and we can continue to be that, and so thank you all so much.
Thank you, Vice President Montero. And thank you, Mr. McDonald and team. Member James.
Yes, I'm excited about the field dedications. That was super fun at Mountain Point. Looking forward to Friday. My son had his first orchestra concert tonight, and I got to see the dress rehearsal yesterday at Marcos, and Mr. Glasser puts on a show. So I wish them luck, and we have a couple concerts next week, and a quarter is going to be fun. And yeah, happy almost fall break.
Yes, thank you, Member James. Really quick, I just want to say happy Hispanic Heritage Month, happy Tribal Yaqui recognition. Do want to congratulate Mountain Point for their field dedication. I apologize for not being there. I did a 3.5 intensive weekend retreat with the new Pathways for Youth program. And if I didn't go, one of the youths would not get matched with a mentor and would be denied that opportunity for the 2-year program. And so I, because I made that commitment to them, I didn't want a youth to to lose that opportunity. So I'm very excited about our placement. I'm hoping that he would like to come to a meeting later to meet you all. So excited about that. And also want to thank Dr. Mendeville for taking myself and Representative Hernandez around some of our schools to tour that she can take back to the legislature and have some advocacy efforts there. And then really quick, I know I've been saying that multiple times today, but recognizing Liesl Hill. She's a former McClintock's, she's a McClintock graduate, around the same time I went. And the reason why I'm recognizing her, because I went to the Michael Bublé concert yesterday, and she was part of the choir for Michael Bublé. So I think that's pretty amazing to have one of our McClintock alum perform on a stage with an international artist. So having said that, I have nothing else and look forward to the rest of the fall. Dr. Mendeville, anything from you or the executive team? All right. Then our next regular meeting is October 12th, 2022. I move to adjourn. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?